We're back.
We're back.
Okay. Why did you decide to end the saga? Because
literally people would come after her with pitchforks and be like, you stop!
Stop it!
Unless you kill Nessie, I will not read anymore.
Can you rewrite it and make her a boy? I wonder if...
I don't want her to be a boy. I just want her to not exist.
Well,
I still don't like...
I want her to rewrite the books and, like, smarter.
Yeah, now that she's had time to let other people think of all the explanations that explain away all her total lapses in judgment in the book, she should take all their ideas, go back, and write it so it makes sense. Just Breaking Dawn. The other ones, you know what, for the most part, they really made sense. I mean, no major issues with any of the other books in the department that this just can't happen, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
This book was full of crap that just would not happen.
Yeah.
And
the characters didn't have substance.
Yeah. Even if there was stuff that, yeah, sure, it could happen in the book, but it wouldn't and it shouldn't. And you just took these characters and you're like, hey, you know what? I've spent 3 incredibly long books developing these characters.
And now
let me just take in, no more character development.
Like Alice in the first book, I always viewed her as, like, mystical and, like, intriguing and
like, awesome.
And, like... And, you know, wanted to dress Bella up for the prom.
Because she has a girly side.
Yeah.
But it was had to do more with her history of not ever having, having no memory of being a real human. And even when she actually was a human, she didn't do human things. Yeah. She was in a freaking asylum for, like, her whole life.
You know, like, that was, you know, showing... that was clever.
That was showing... Yeah. And had you taken that character and developed it in that direction instead of the superficial, stupid
Barbie
Alice
doll,
that
like,
you had... Who all of a sudden, at the drop of a dime, turns into the same mystical character she was in Twilight for the end of the book. Like, what happened to her character?
She was like, shoes all the way until, like...
she disappeared.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait,
what happened? You're like, oh, mystical Alice is back, and then, like,
yeah, and then she's mystical for the rest.
Kind of.
She's like mystical because you're like, what is she doing?
Oh,
this character is intriguing. It makes me wonder what she's doing.
Yeah.
Well, when she comes back, then you're kind of like...
you're already in the thing.
The battle. The non-battle.
The non-battle.
Fail.
Exactly. Okay, well, this is why she decided to end the saga. The Twilight Saga is really Bella's story, and this was the natural place for her story to wind up. She overcame the major obstacles in her path and fought her way to the place she wanted to be. I suppose I could try to prolong her story unnaturally, but it wouldn't be interesting enough to keep me writing. Stories need conflict, and the conflicts that are Bella-centric are resolved.
That makes sense, but...
Here we go. How do you feel about the Breaking Dawn controversy that we think was started by her?
The Breaking Dawn controversy.
Oh, like, Breaking Dawn. Oh, I'm thinking of Midnight Sun. I'm so bad with book title names.
No, I mean, and she says she expected it. It makes me sad, of course, but I was expecting it. If you were expecting it and your publishers were expecting it and being like, listen, maybe this baby shouldn't exist because she's Satan in human vampire form and she's stupid. Maybe, maybe you should... try and explain this or people would still have a problem with her, even if she was explained, but they would accept it as the way the story went and be like, oh, I wish this hadn't happened. Just like the whole Jacob romance thing.
Yes,
a lot of people wished it hadn't happened.
Or like,
but everyone accepted it because it made sense.
Exactly.
If Renesmee had been explained in Breaking Dawn in a way that made people believe it and not just, oh, I guess this can happen because it happened other times that I made up.
Exactly.
Maybe people would have accepted it had it been given a reasonable explanation. Kind of like the one that she gave in the
people
FAQ.
Who in the SATs they write like horrible essays. They're like they make up reasons this is why this quote is really good because I did this in my school. Because I read it at school and then I decided that since other quotes are good, this quote is also good. Yeah, It makes me sad, of course, but I was expecting it. The negative was more than I was braced for, but that was because the book sold a lot more copies than I expected. It was bigger than I thought it would be on both positive and negative sides. There's not a very big positive. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Because positive and a negative, if you add a positive and a negative, it makes 0. So I don't understand. Well, not necessarily, unless it's like a big plus. And but like what she's saying, she expected more on the positive and on the negative. So So she's basically canceling out what she's saying.
I think what she's saying is she expected less negative, but she also expected less positive. That doesn't actually make sense. You're right.
Yeah, it was bigger
than I thought.
Or it's like, you know,
or like blown up to the extreme and more sides than she thought. Like she didn't think as many people would hate it as much as they did, and she didn't think as many people would be so enthusiastic about it. I don't even know. Makes sense, Stephanie. Write words that make sense.
No, sentences.
Whole sentences, you're
right.
Well, her grammar also, like her big words that she uses. Okay, Steph, we know you're smart.
Exactly.
Use words that people reading it can understand.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's like me. Sometimes, like, oh, I know a vocabulary word, so I'll be, like, typing an essay, and then I'm like,
what does this mean?
Inconvenience. Well, no, that's a
normal word.
But it sounds like not a normal word. Like
crepuscular. But that actually just means active at dawn or dusk. So it really has no relevance, and you probably wouldn't be using.
We're not smart enough to do this.
Yeah.
We should go to Free Rise and look up like level 40. Smart words. Anyway.
Gets the bigger the group.
It's inevitable that the bigger your audience gets, the bigger the group who doesn't like what they're reading will be. Because no book is good for everyone. Every individual has their own blah, 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 blah. Conversely, there are books that I adore that no one else seems to care about, blah, 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 blah.
Because you have screwed up mental processes.
When I publish a book, I know that it's not going to be right. With Breaking Dawn, the expectation was so huge and so intense, I knew the negative reaction was going to be especially bad this time. In the end, it's just a book. No book, blah, 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 can answer to that level of expectation.
That is absolutely not true.
We weren't, like, expecting the Bible.
Yeah, we were not expecting her to print, like, the Bible. We weren't expecting her to print this thing that was, like, holy and fantastic, but we were expecting it to make sense. We were expecting it to wrap up the story.
Yeah, we trusted
in a way
her, and
that
she
was
broke
satisfied.
our trust.
She took our trust and shattered it with a sledgehammer, and then burned the pieces with a blowtorch.
And then harpooned it.
And then took a harpoon and threw it at us. And then with the Midnight Sun thing was just like, hey guys, I've just killed you all on the inside, but now let me punch you in the stomach as well. God. Anyway.
Exactly.
I had something to say about that and I just totally forgot it. Oh, right. Okay. You know what? Other book had a really huge hype and probably definitely a bigger fan base waiting for it?
Yes.
Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. And you know what? Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows did not disappoint.
Did not.
The epilogue might have seemed a little fanficky, but no one argues with. I don't think that many people. I mean, actually, I really have no idea. I didn't argue with what happened in the epilogue. I argued with the way it was written.
Yeah,
which is totally
and like the
different.
names things. What is with
Albus?
You know
Severus?
what? I think
what?
I'm pretty sure I know what needs to happen. There needs to be like a name agency in which authors go when they naming children.
When they have unusual names and they think that those unusual names are a good idea,
or like
just
names
to be
of the
sure,
characters. They need to go to the name
agency and make sure that they're not smoking the crack pipe.
Exactly.
Renesmee. Is that a normal name? No. Is that a pretty name? No. Is that a name that it's a unique name only in that no one has it. It's not unique to combined parents' names. If she wanted a unique name for her
she should have had Nickame, which is my name.
She should have figured out some way.
Which sounds pretty.
Nickame is a pretty name.
Yeah.
Renesmee. Not only is it not a pretty name, not a real name, it's original only in the sense that no one else has it. It's not original to combine parents' names. Renesmee Carly, Stephanie Meyer. She's like, oh, I love that name. It's so original, no one else has it. When in reality, it's a total cop-out because you didn't put any real thought into the name. You just combined 2 names for the first name and 2 names for the middle name. And you didn't even get original with combining the names. You combined the grandparents' names. That is not original. Yeah. Oh, I'm so special. I'm so creative. I gave this child the name Renesmee when the grandparents' names were Renee and Esme.
Guys.
So
Guys, I've got this great idea.